Hi everyone, welcome back to Truth, Health and Wellness with Dr. Matt and Deborah St. John. We're glad you've joined us here today. We are live, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you if you've got any questions, go ahead, call in on a number you're going to see shortly on your screen, or send them in on Facebook Live, and we will do our best to get the answers for you. Dr. Matt and Deborah, tell us how your week's been and what you're seeing.
It's been a good week. It's been really busy, really good. We've had a lot of people in this week doing some eye drops that are called Sonanga. And that's been really, really neat. We've had a really good set of testimonies, for that.
So what does it do? Sonanga.
Sonanga, S-A-N.
Is it like for pink eye or just dryness or what?
Well,
I want to ask?
Sonanga's a Peruvian medicine, Peruvian natural medicine that's been around for, we know of, at least a couple thousand years. And Sonanga is a tea that's made they put them in little bottles, and they're made into an eye drop. Now this tea is pretty amazing because there's several studies on Sonanga being extremely effective for improving vision, helping with cataracts, helping with macular degeneration, helping with tons of eye problems. We actually have a testimonial where someone did a testimony, did a review for us and gave us a 5-star review because they had their visions improved 400%. So far,
wow,
from taking the Sonanga. They've quit using their glasses. They're driving at night. The eye doctor said, well, you don't have to have cataract surgery now. I mean, it's been amazing.
Wow.
So that was really cool that they went and did that particular, but they were actually in today.
Wow.
So that was, they're a great testimony, but there were several others that we have that are doing it. But there's one thing about the Sonanga that's a little bit of a problem. And we've both used it ourselves. And now I'll tell you this, it's supposed to come with some eye pain. These drops, when you first apply the drops, you put one in each eye, you're going to experience what's going to feel like almost like electricity in your eye. Yeah.
And what degree of electricity is the
Well,
question?
okay, do you remember the last time you got an eyelash stuck in your eye?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you remember how uncomfortable that was?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, imagine having that feeling for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Just one single eyelash.
well,
or
maybe like 10 eyelashes in your eye plus a little shampoo.
Yeah, and
okay.
maybe a nice pick.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, but the good thing is that the maximum, I'm really selling this stuff, aren't I? The maximum pain you're going to experience, you are actually feeling immediately.
It doesn't get any worse.
It doesn't get any worse.
And it will go away.
It goes away in 5 to 10 minutes. For her, 5. For me, 10. Of course, God's got a sense of humor. The first time we ever did these drops, right? We get them. We're sitting on the couch, or I'm laying on the couch, and I'm like, okay, honey, we're going to use these drops. We'd gotten them all the way from Peru. There's an active ingredient called ibogaine, and so it's a controversial therapy because ibogaine in and of itself is illegal in the United States. However, in the eye drop form, in the form of Sonanga, it is legal. And there's a long story as to why ibogaine might be legal or illegal. But anyway, it's extremely effective, and these things are, and we were both, well, she wears glasses, I do too, I have contacts in. And so we're thinking, well, let's just try them. So we have our little bottle, and I lay down, and I look at my wife, and I said, let me just look at you one more time before you put them in. And so I looked at her.
Just in case he goes blind,
Yeah, so I thought, and so Deborah looked at me, and she had the drops, and she says, we're not doing this. So that was the end of that day. We didn't do it. We actually went back to
Months
Peru,
later.
got another bottle of Sonanga, came back, and this time she's like, you know what, you do all the driving, and your eyes are kind of like super mega important. So
Right.
how about I try it first? Now
Yeah,
we've done the research.
just in case.
We've read the clinicals, and we trust our shaman and plant medicine experts in Peru. But this is
your eyes we're talking
this is
about.
sticking the
You
stuff
can't
in your
just
eye.
replace them that easily.
So she lays down, and I put a drop in each eye, and she closes her eyes, and she says, well, it's really uncomfortable, and you're going to hate this. And I said, well, that's a little spooky, but okay.
He's video recording me.
I'm recording.
And you
Asking
said
me
both
questions.
at one time, right? not just singly.
No, you got to do both
Oh, yeah.
eyes at once,
I
or
won't
you'll
do
never
that.
do that other eye.
you won't be doing it.
You will not do it.
So after 5 minutes, she opens her eyes and she's blinking a little bit. And she's like, "Wow, I can see it. I actually feel better." And so she's like, I feel great. And I'm like, "Well, that's wonderful." So I laid down and I got ready for Mr. Tough Guy to get my eye drops. And she puts a drop in each of my eyes. And that last thing I remember was seeing her pretty face. And then the next thing I remember was it was me and Satan, I guess. And so it was it was horrible. I mean, I'm talking massive. I curled up in the fetal position. I'm like, turn the lights off, quit talking to me, don't talk. I'm like, and I'm just laying there thinking.
You didn't, and he said, "You did not tell me it was this bad." And I said, "Well, I told you were going to hate it.
Right.
That's pretty bad."
So what was amazing though is after the effects of as far as the pain went away after 10 minutes for me, it was pretty wild how much better I could see, how much clearer my vision was, and how I really felt. I felt wonderful.
Yeah.
And so we've done them since then, but we have people who are coming to us to have them applied because, and yes, you're going to sign a disclaimer. Sorry, but it's one of those things. But it's an example. Really, what's interesting with Peruvian medicine is how effective it is, but how almost every single Peruvian medicine, whether it be mapacho, whether it be the rape, whether it be ayahuasca, whether it be cambo, whether it be this that we're talking about with sananga, everything seems to either hurt, make you vomit, hallucinate, or see Jesus, or the devil, or something along those lines. And that's why we wanted to research so much this medicine, because we really wanted to find out what we could bring here to use on people. And when you start having these testimonials from eye doctors saying, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Your cataract is falling apart."
That's
That's amazing. And so when we have these testimonials, it's wild. So that's been a big one, I think, this week, as we've had so many people that are kind of talking about and contacting us about using Sananga, these particular eye drops. Of course, we also have we have viruses going. We have a lot of mental illness going, a lot of depression going. There's a lot of issues along those lines that we keep seeing getting worse and worse and worse, especially with the mental illness thing.
Yeah.
So it's something that as this year, I believe, progresses, we're going to see a greater incidence of mental illness.
Yeah.
And then, Lord knows what else.
Well, for everyone out there, again, we are live, so feel free to call in if you have any questions, or you can send them in on Facebook, and we will be glad to see if we can get you an answer for those. We're going to go ahead and dive on into some questions we've had from previous weeks on here. So let's go to since we were just talking about that, what can I take naturally to help battle depression?
Oh, wow. There's so many things regarding depression that people, you think about anxiety. You think about how anxiety can lead to depression, but you really don't think about how fear can lead to anxiety.
Right.
So what's really the problem? That's what we try to figure out, because it's very difficult with people. They'll come in and say, "Well, I'm taking Prozac, or I'm taking this or that, and I want to get off of it." And it's not that simple. And so what you have to do is you have to incorporate natural therapies that are safe to take with whatever you may be doing, and we have to make sure that there are no contraindications. And then you have to be on things for a little while to really determine how they're affecting you. For some people, for example, like we have supplements and formulas that will help people that help people focus, for their memory to be sharper, for them to help figure out and solve problems, and for them to help along those lines. Well, I had someone mention to me actually this week. They're like, "Well, I don't like my husband, and I really and I knew that they didn't like their husband, but they don't want to divorce their husband." So they were taking this particular formula that was more along the lines of helping you deal with problems and help actually keeping you sharp, and it was not helping with their depression.
Yeah.
Because it was, as the more that they were thinking, and the more further they were going with this thought process, it was more like, it's like, he's horrible, he's, this husband's this, that, and all my friends are telling me this, and I need to do this and this. And those are all things that are adverse to what she really wants right now. And so it's interesting, because I had to explain to her, sometimes you need the serotonin boost. Sometimes you need that serotonin boost and the dopamine boost. And then sometimes you definitely don't want to do anything to increase your dopamine. You don't want to do anything to increase your mental acuity if you're trying to numb your brain because of the severe depression and anxiety that you're dealing with because of a situation. So sometimes the cannabinoids can help out, and the CBD and the deltas and that sort of thing, if they're quality and not from gas stations, those can help in those. And there's all kind of herbs: passion flower, hops, skullcap, valerian, so many different plants that can help with nerve problems that aren't going to necessarily numb you too much or stimulate you too much and make you more aware of your problems.
Right.
So it's really interesting. So with depression, it just depends. I mean, we have a formula called Happy Now that's one of the most popular formulas we have. I mean, it's been the biggest formula. We have literally testimonials and 5-star reviews that say, you know, I was contemplating suicide and started taking Happy Now and I decided not to. So it's like, you know, that's the kind of testimonials
Yes.
that really affect you. So we have those, and Happy Now has been a great product. But sometimes you need a little extra. Sometimes you need a little something different. Some things will help with depression, like amino acids. Just increasing someone's protein intake can increase their amino acids. It's obviously going to increase their intake of amino acids because protein's made up of amino acids. But each of those amino acids, tryptophan, tyrosine, theanine, glutamine, those are all used by individuals to help with stress, anxiety, depression, and memory, and these sorts of issues. And so if we'll just eat more protein, in a lot of cases, quality protein, we'll be getting those amino acids that we need, and it's basically just like medicine. Medicine. Who would imagine that a cow could be medicine? But yet, as we've been talking about, between the thyroid and the thyroid gland of the cow and the meat from the cow and the amino acids from the cow, yeah, your food is your medicine. A lot of people just have, medicine that's killing them that
And
they're
when you
eating
said
on a regular basis.
Tryptophan, isn't that a turkey? Isn't
Yeah.
that known for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving? And
You get together and everybody eats the turkey and you eat a lot of turkey, and then after Thanksgiving lunch, everyone's exhausted. All the men go and watch some crummy football game, and of course I think the lines are actually good now, so I think that's different. But anyway, that was the old days. All the men go in the living room and crash, and all the ladies are like cleaning up and everything. Of course, I like to go in there with the ladies because they always had. Well, first off, everybody else is asleep. I don't feel like hanging out with a bunch of tired, old, stinky men. So watching a crummy football game. So I was in there with the women getting the real dirt. Anyway.
One thing I will say about that too is we have people that come into St. John's to talk to Dr. Matt about what they have going, and sometimes they don't even want any vitamins. They just want to sit down and talk to him for an hour, work through some of their stuff, and then come back next month and do the same thing. It's almost like a counseling service maybe. Some people just need to talk about some stuff.
It is
And
interesting.
He loves to listen.
Well, I love to listen, and then they start prying me for things that we have going on. So we end up just there's a relationship and a bond that happens a lot of times, and it's really neat. But it's so cool. My whole life I've had people open up to me a lot, like a ridiculous level.
Like no matter where he is.
We go places.
The checkout line at Walmart.
I was asleep one time, and I'll tell you a Sananga story. I was asleep one time at the Lima airport. I was dehydrated and kind of dying a little bit because we were sick coming back from Iquitos from the jungle, and I had given away our P77 at that time too. And so we literally, I was asleep, I had my eyes closed. She went to the restroom. We're at the Lima airport having to wait for a 5-hour layover. I'm literally have my eyes closed, and I hear this little voice, which I wasn't expecting because it was in English, that said, "What are you doing, honey?" I opened my eyes, and I'm still laying down. There's this little old lady above me, and I said, "I'm just laying here while my wife goes to the restroom. I'm just recovering because I got pretty intense food poisoning." And she said, "Where have you come from?" And I said, "I came from Iquitos." She goes, "I live half the time in Iquitos and the other half the time in San Francisco." Now, I've never met another human who does that. So at that point, she piqued my interest. So I lean up a little bit, and she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I do natural medicine." She goes, "Oh, that's why you're in Iquitos, right?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." She goes, "What do I need for my eyes? I have macular degeneration, and I need desperately something for my eyes." And I said, "Sananga." She takes out a little notepad, takes and writes down the Sananga. She says, "Well, I'm on my way back to Iquitos. I'll be there in a few hours. I'll go find me some of this." And I said, "Well, it hurts." And I gave her a little bit of information about it. And she says, "Well, go ahead and lay back down. That's all God needed out of you."
wow.
And I said, "Okay, for now, I guess." And I laid back down, and she walked off.
Wow.
That was just, but stuff like that happens all the time. And it's really neat to be able to sit down with people, and we give people a lot of time. The average is an hour.
Yeah.
That someone's back there with us. So we do, at one point we had someone today back with you, having Sananga applied while someone else was back with me talking. So it's a neat thing to be able to share and talk to people who are health minded. I love talking to people who care about their health, who care about their calling, who care about their kids, who care about longevity, who care about feeling good. Because there's so many people that you'll meet who just don't give a rip.
Yeah.
They don't care. They pretend to. They don't want cancer, but they're not willing to really do anything to prevent it. So I really enjoy when people are wanting to get help. I'll do anything I can to help them within reason. Sometimes not within reason.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited for the possibilities of Sanonga, not for what it takes, where not harm, the hurt, the pain.
Yeah.
I can't-
The pain. It is
but,
pain.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So-
pain is gain, though. You can't break through things without being uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we live in a society where comfort has taken the lead, and it's not what's supposed to. I mean, at no point are we supposed to be as comfortable as the average American is, and so getting uncomfortable tends to be very healing. Think about doing. Spas, doing infrared saunas, and doing, when you sweat, and doing saunas,
Yes.
and working out, and exercising, and drinking yellow root tea, and all these different things that it's not easy sometimes to be healthy, but it's nice to have the prize,
Yeah.
and the prize is you don't feel like you're dying all the time.
Yeah.
And there's so many people watching right now there's people watching right now that feel like they're dying right now. And it can, and everyone at every stage of their life, regardless of their health, can always feel better and can always be healthier than they are. I know I can. I can make some decisions tonight, even about what we do for dinner, that are going to dictate somewhat how I feel in the morning. So those are things to think about, not to obsess about, but to think about and to consider.
So don't eat all the chocolate before you go to bed. No.
That's right. Well, yes, late night snacking is my thing, and I have to be real careful about that one.
Well, we have a caller that called in for Deborah in specific,
For me?
putting you on the spot.
Okay.
They would like to know what you would suggest they do for ADHD. Did I get that correct?
ADHD.
What kind of herbs for ADHD?
Okay, well, we have several things that are really good for ADHD. We have kids and adults, both, that deal with the problem on a regular basis. Our brain fog formula that we talk about a good bit is really great for kids and adults both. We have actually people that come and get it from us when they have tests to take so that they can focus and pay closer attention. And then we also have some other stuff like GABA, like fish oil. Kids don't get enough fish, so that's a lot of times why they can't think straight, focus, and that sort of thing. What else?
Well, the omega-3s and the fish oil is, first thing to do is figure out, okay, what are these kids not getting in their diet that they need? And for most kids around here, it's omega-3s. And so, yes, we have herbs and plants that definitely help with focus and attention, but why is the child having attention issues? Does the child have heavy metals? So many kids have plastics and heavy metals in their systems because of
Right.
the influx of all the chemicals and everything. So doing a cleanse for a lot of kids.
The food colors too.
Kids with Asperger's and autism, they have a completely different set of circumstances and needs, and even like melatonin supplementation and things like that, which the average child doesn't need, and the average adult doesn't need either. And so you just take it by case basis. But the first thing around here is to get the kids' diet fixed, or supplement what's missing, which 9 times out of 10 is going to be omega-3s.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next thing is protein.
Yeah.
And then if you have to add a whey protein or a good quality protein to their diet as a supplement, then that's good. But we also want people to eat real food and to teach their kids how to eat real food. That's important.
And when you say supplement, like whey protein, would that be like a protein powder or?
Like an isolated whey protein, preferably an organic one.
Okay.
Because there's so many. Folks, these protein supplements that you find, you have to be so careful. First off, if it's a major brand name, you can't trust it. It's garbage. And then, if you find good quality sources, you got to not only make sure that the product is good, that you go online and make sure it's been reviewed and it's got it has good reviews by someone other than the company that makes it. And then you have to figure out too, well, where did this protein go? So if you have a protein supplement, here in about 2 months it's going to start getting warmer, and the shipping, the UPS, FedEx and everything, those trucks aren't air conditioned in the back. They're not temperature controlled in the warehouses. So if your protein gets up to over 100 degrees for more than an hour or two, it's no good. It's literally inert, and it can cause digestive trouble. So that's why so many people will take they'll go to Walmart, and the products are not stored properly, and they're not shipped properly, not distributed properly, and they'll get a protein and they'll take it, and they'll give them diarrhea, and they're like, well, obviously this isn't for me.
Right.
Well, no, that particular protein wasn't for you. The quality is very important.
Oh yeah.
Well, for a parent, if they do, let's say they increase the protein that their child is eating, meat, healthier meat, not injected meat and all of that, but if they do that, what time frame would they be looking at noticing and the child being able to tell a difference? Like, are we talking 1 day, 2 days, a week, a month, possibly? What might that look like?
It could be instant.
Okay.
A kid that's being nourished when they're not used to being nourished can literally instantly have a change and,
Yeah.
and see results.
But definitely within 3
But
days.
then, but definitely very quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then someone else asked the question for the brain fog. How many drops per day are too few or too many? What's the limit?
What's the limit?
What do you think? I mean, a dropper.
A dropper has
two times a day. I know would be safe.
a dropper has between 17 and 20 drops. When you use the droppers in these bottles, when they make what we call a dropper full, is not really a dropper full. It's about half to 3/4 full, and that's between 17 and 20 drops. Most people are taking about 3 a day of that dropper full.
Of adults.
Right.
But you could double that dose. And of course, the thing to look out for would be, headache or too much stimulation or anything like that. But at the same time,
I've never heard of any side effects whatsoever
I know.
with it at all.
No, I just hear people complain about the taste occasionally, and that's about the extent of it.
Hey, I like that taste of that one.
I think it's good too. I like it.
Bought A1 steak sauce the other day again, and that's why.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep.
Tamarind.
Let's see. There was one on here. Well, since we were just talking about that, I want to know, what is that hand scanner that you have at St. John's used for?
Oh wow, that's our Zyto scanner.
Tell us about that.
These Zyto scanners, these particular scanners, it's like the biomeridian stress testing and so forth. They use bioenergetic feedback, which is fancy terminology, but at the same time, it's really interesting. They test points. You know how in Eastern medicine they have a huge belief in meridians and
That's the
acupressure
points in your
Correct.
hand and feet. Okay.
Yeah. And so when you have these pressure points, especially in your hands, and reflexologists will, they'll do massage and they'll work. And now people have to remember, this is not some sort of like machine that we just say is you're going to test test this
Fortune
machine
teller,
and
no.
it's going to tell it's going to tell everything that's wrong with you, and then you just take the recommendations and go. And that's not the way it works. It's just one of the things that we use at St. John's to help, but we offer it for free. So people come by all the time and they'll have it checked. And what's really interesting is how here and now it is. People will come in and they will have, like a lady came in and it shows that she needs something for her glucose, that she's having glucose issues right off the bat. And so I'm sitting there looking at it, and she's like, well, what did the Zyto say? And I said, let me ask you a question. I said, did you eat breakfast this morning? She said, no. I said, have you eaten lunch yet? And she looked up at the clock. She's like, oh, no, I haven't eaten lunch either. And I said, did you feel tired? She's like, oh, yeah, I had a sugar drop right before I came in here. And I said, well, the machine, look at it. And so she's blown away. I've had people who've had stressful conversations with other people when they were in the parking lot, like on the phone.
Yeah.
And they have an argument with their spouse or someone, and then they come in and when they go and they do the Zyto, their stress levels through the roof, and it's showing that they need something for stress, anxiety, and depression. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And they're like, I'm not really a depressed person. It's like, no, have you gotten into some situation here? Like, oh yeah, I just had an argument with my wife, and well, there you go. It's very here and now, and so it's really neat because it tests those meridians, and it can it senses in your body where you have weaknesses and where you have strengths, and so it'll show so many points out of reference when it gives the results, and then it'll actually recommend the supplements that can be used to help fix those issues.
So what does it like pinpoint? Does it hit the lines?
The
that you're
meridian
talking- the
points,
meridians
yeah.
with something, and then it gives you a printout?
Yeah, it's actually electric. It's electric.
It's a little electrical impulse.
You
that-
hold your hand on this thing for about
Yeah.
5, maybe
It takes about
2 to 5
7
minutes.
minutes
2
or
to
so.
7 minutes or so. And so you put your hand on it. It looks like a little hand, and then the computer just sits and works and
That's
reads.
very cool.
So we
Yeah.
offer it for free.
It's
A lot of
pretty
people charge for it, but we do that for free because people come in all the time.
So that's worth
Love
the
it.
visit
Yeah,
right
if
there. You need to
anybody
come
wants
in and
to
see
come
them just
in.
to check that out.
get
I think
Zyto.
Just see what it is. Ask us about it. It's really neat.
That's right. And every once in a while, it's kind of interesting because people with really poor circulation will have to like slap their hands and do all kinds of things to get their
get it to-
circulation
To
going.
get it to read.
And we have had people before that were so feeble that it would never register that their hand was ever on it,
Really?
no matter what we did.
Yeah, there's been a few.
Like twice in the past several years. Yeah.
Can you push their hand down on it, or would that pressure?
No,
that pressure would-
At
you
that
can do
point,
that.
yeah, you
I mean,
can.
I've
She's held
literally
people's
had to
hands.
put my hand on top of people's hand before to help it. But sometimes, I mean, there's been a couple times it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
About 2 times I can think of. So
Well, let's jump to another one really quick. We got about 5 minutes left here.
they
so,
left us and went to the morgue.
Oh, that's not good.
Just joking.
Did they take your machine with them? No. What does homeopathic mean, and how is it different from herbs and vitamins?
That's a cool question. Homeopathic medicine has been around, and this is this really weird gray area thing where homeopathic medicine is still considered in the United States as a form of medicine. So there's certain protections for homeopathic medicine that don't actually exist for herbs, vitamins, and other supplements. Homeopathics are diluted substances that would normally trigger or cause a problem that have been diluted so many times that they cause an immune response within your body to do the exact opposite. Now that sounds weird until you think about snake venom. So what do you get when you get bitten by a snake as an antivenom? In many cases, a lot of cases.
The same venom?
The same venom. You end up with a diluted, what about, let's think about like poison ivy, poison oak.
Okay.
One of the old remedies that Tommy Bass had was when you first started into spring, you found a poison oak or poison ivy bush or plant.
Yeah.
You take a tiny fresh leaf,
Baby leaf.
and you get with a pair of tweezers and you take the baby leaf and you eat it. Don't touch it to your lips, but you just put it in your mouth and eat it. Another thing to do would be to put it in a capsule. Now, that's a bravery issue. And and I've known several people that have done this. Several people have done this. People who do this early in the spring will never get poison oak or poison ivy.
Y'all can come to my house and we try that. I mean,
Well, maybe we will, actually. And it's really neat. But that's a homeopathic principle. And the principles of homeopathy is to use small, tiny, or minute doses of herbs, supplements, or even other organic matter from animals, whatever, that would normally trigger a problem, but they use extremely diluted, like a lot of times up to 300x dilution,
Okay.
to cause a triggered immune response in your body to make your body heal itself.
Build up the antibodies to
Right.
just kick it.
Yeah. And homeopathic medicine works well in people who are healthy overall, people who are young, and people who have sort of like clean digestive tracts. And what's interesting though is how many times homeopathic medicine doesn't work. So we use homeopathic medicine, but we use it as complementary medicine to actual plant medicine that really works. There are companies that I won't say who, but that are very close by that do something called imprinting, and that's where they actually don't put any real materials in their supplements at all. You can go right down the road to Bremen, Georgia. I won't name the company, but you can buy their homeopathic products that, when tested, contain nothing but grain alcohol.
what?
Yeah, and they're able to get away with it because they're calling it homeopathic medicine, which is protected with our FDA still.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a snake oil thing. It's actually an industry that has a lot of untruths in it and a lot of deception. So we're very careful, and once again, that's why we do what we do. That's kind of like the foot baths that we were talking about
Right.
that time. And so it's just like before we started recommending Peruvian medicine. We went to Peru. We went there and we want to use the medicine, see the medicine, learn the medicine, experience the medicine. It's very important. And so with homeopathics, I've just never found them to be as effective. Now, the rescue remedies, some of those are really good, what they call rescue remedies, and for anxiety and things like that. But for the most part, we like to go with herbal medicine and other forms of natural medicine.
I'm still stuck on the poison ivy, and like if I try a poison ivy leaf, am I going to blow up on the inside and have it? You never know, we might find that out. But it has come to the end of this week's show, so we want to thank everyone out there for joining us again. Again, if you do have any questions, feel free to email them in, send them in to Matt and Deborah's Facebook page, St. John's Nutrition, or to us, and we'll try to get those answered for you. We appreciate you joining us, and you guys have a great week.